Hello, it's Olga again, and today we're going to talk about something very, very important to me, and that's legacy. So, what is legacy? What is your legacy? What are you living when you get off this planet? And for me, I think that begins with the first question: what's your calling? What's your destiny? Are we searching our destiny and our calling as we live this life, or are we just merely existing? Are we just going day to day, going to our 9 to 5, going and just living this routine life without thinking about what our destiny is and our calling is? I feel like my purpose in life is to help people uh, go through this journey to their destiny in whatever way that I can. And I'll explain that, whether it's by imparting knowledge, helping people not make the same mistakes that I've made, whether it's teaching about what I'm good at, or um, giving uh, whatever I can give. That's my calling. I feel like my calling is to give. And a lot of times, people think that, one's higher calling is this profound and this, very Mother Teresa like kind of life and journey. It's not. Everyone has a different calling. Whatever you're doing in your life, I mean, if you wake up in the morning and choose to be great at it, if you choose to give your all in it, and not just do it for the sake of doing, or do it because you're getting paid. Oh, this is just a job and getting paid, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Have some passion, put some heart into whatever it is you're doing. And especially if that's your calling, if you've discovered that's your calling. Because I believe that, as we live every day, and you might not know it right now, but as we live, we discover our destiny. We discover, you know um, our calling on this journey called life. So I feel like if we search, and if we purpose to do the best and give the best in whatever we are doing, no matter what it is. If you're going to be a teacher, be the best teacher. If you're going to be the janitor, just polish those floors like, nobody has seen. If you're going to be an artist, put your heart into that art, put yourself into it, apply yourself is what I, feel like a calling is, when you apply yourself, when you just don't give for the sake of just giving. So I feel like that's our calling. That's our um, that's our destiny. That's what, the legacy that we're going to leave. And when I talk about legacy, I mean, it's not something that, we don't have to be, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, or um, whoever else. We don't have to be those people, but in our small little world, we're living a legacy. We're living a legacy for those people around us. What legacy are you leaving your children? Are you leaving your children a legacy of um, mommy and daddy fighting? Are you leaving your children a legacy of, being a rolling stone, never settled? Are you leaving your children a legacy of chaos and fighting? And a lot of families fight, but I'm talking about this kind of chaos where there is no peace anywhere. There's no peace in the home. There's no peace in the family reunions. That's a legacy you're leaving these children. We have to be mindful as we live our lives, because as we live, we're living a legacy. Um, no matter what it is. And people look at legacy as this huge, profound thing, but it could also be a negative thing, a legacy of chaos, a legacy of drunkenness, a legacy of um, just being horrible people, mean people, ugly people, racist people, prejudiced people, whatever it is. That's a legacy that we're living. So we could either live a positive legacy or a negative legacy to those people in our lives, or the people that look up to us. And you don't have to have kids to, be able to be mindful of the legacy that you're leaving. We all have people in our lives that, look up to us, or like share with us, share space with us, or work with us. And we have to be able to be mindful of what we're leaving uh, behind. Recently, well, not so recent, I should say about, I'm going to say 2011, so that's 9 years ago. um, my best friend died, and she didn't have any children and did not have a spouse. But I feel like she left me a legacy of understanding. She taught me a lot. She left me a legacy of loyalty, and everybody that knew her, I mean, she left a legacy of giving. So what am I saying? You don't have to have children, or biological children, but in whatever you're doing, you're leaving a legacy in whatever you're doing. So we have to be mindful of that. I try to be mindful of that every time my life goes into some chaotic mode. I'm like, I have to bring it back in and stay on the path and continue with the legacy that I need to live here. And who knows when any one of us leaves. And so talking about, when we leave this planet, a lot of people are scared of talking about this. You have to have a will as an adult. You don't have to have offspring to have a will. You have to have a will, because as long as you own anything, as long as you own something, you have got to have a will. Because when you die, you're going to leave your family and your friends and the people that care about you in some shambles. And as a matter of fact, if you die, at least from what I know in the state of Minnesota, I don't know about many parts of the world, your belongings, end up with the state. So if you have not, thought about a will, you should think about it. Talk to somebody you trust, get an attorney, and draft that will. You can even start drafting it on your own computer and just sit down, take some time and think about the people in your life. I mean, start by drafting, what you own and what you have, and your assets, and then maybe take the next step and figure out, who you want to leave those assets to, especially if you don't have children. And if you do have children, I mean, not everybody leaves, their belongings to their children, but there are lots of organizations, that could use, your money, your, you know, whatever money that you might have, or liquidified assets that you may have when you pass away. So you want to think about that. I know it's a difficult topic and people don't want to think about it, but we're all going to die someday, and we have to be prepared. And one of the ways is, by having a will. So, and another thing about a living will, and you can talk to people that are more experts about this, and I am not. I am just talking about something that I'm very passionate about and that I've seen through the years, that is very important. And like I said, talk to somebody you trust. And the other thing too, parents, make sure that you have executors of your children's will that you trust. You have to make sure of that. If it has to be an attorney and nobody else close to you, you do that. Because I've seen in so many different parts of the world where uh, so much of what people have left their children has been squandered, and it just left the children, with nothing, because there is greed in these families, and greed with friends, and even strangers, people stealing people's property. So you want to be able to have somebody that you trust. And like I said, if it just has to be an attorney, let it be that, because the world is desperate. There are a lot of people with sticky fingers waiting to snatch your kid's stuff. So you want to do that. And now, just a little bit, going back about people that you trust in your life. This is another thing about legacy, but since I talked about it with the will, who do you know? Who knows you? Who knows you really well? Who knows that even if you did something stupid, something horrible, they will say, no, I know them. I know Olga. I know who she is. That was just a moment in her life. Oh, I know so and so. Whoever you are, someone who can say they know you. You have to cultivate and build these relationships so that, people can actually know you authentically, because that's what life is about. It's not about going and collecting this paycheck and collecting these material possessions. At the end of the day, for all those other things to work, we have to have people in our lives that are close to us, people that know us intimately, that they're going to bring you in when you feel like your world's going crazy. They're going to remind you of who you are. Those are the people that you need in your life. Those are the people that are going to help you with your legacy, with your calling, with your purpose. Because we cannot do this by ourselves. No one is an island to themselves. Even as single people, any single people out there, you're not an island to yourself. We need people in our lives. We need people that are going to carry us through, people that are going to help us when we veer off, the narrow path, who are going to bring us back in, and who are going to help us again with our legacy and be there for our children. And so we need those people. Everything else is not, will not work out unless you have those people who are close to you and who know you intimately. The last thing I'm going to talk about is life insurance. Get a life insurance policy. That takes the burden of your loved ones. And especially for people who have to, say, have their bodies be transported to wherever they were born. Sometimes it's across the ocean. It's so expensive. So you want to get a life insurance policy so you don't burden your loved ones. It's so important. And I speak about these things not because I read them somewhere, but these things have been near and dear to me, and these are things that I've experienced and things that I carry out in my own life. Get a life insurance policy. It does not cost much. Okay, there are people that you can talk to uh, that will help you. There's so many organizations. Talk to your friends, and talk to me. I can, I have references for you where you can talk to people that can educate you on how to get your life insurance policy and getting a will, because those things are very important in life. So, thanks for tuning in. This is my very serious topic, but I hope it's helped you. I hope it helps you think about your life and think about your legacy and your calling, and really, what are you here for? Um, because we're gonna die someday. Could be a few minutes from now, it could be tomorrow. Think about how you're living your life. All right. Thank you for tuning in.